Welcome back to HPL. We're about to get match number 1 underway with Muzzy and Dog. Nathan, what are you expecting to see in this match?
Well, you know, we kind of looked at the histories of these players. Frankly, I think Muzzy is going to have to stick to aggression. That's what he's used best to success so far. There's no reason to stray away from that now, unless he feels that like the metagame has maybe changed, gone in a different direction, and feels like he needs to mix it up along with that. We expected Dog to play Druid in day 1, but he didn't do that. He went against that Crane and played some other powerful strategies. He's shown lately that he's really, his range has opened up. It's not just Druid, and we can see that. You know, if you ever watch his stream, watch him practice, he plays a lot of Rogue on there as well. Plays a lot of different classes. The ones that he's had the most success with are the ones that you typically get remembered for. But Rogue is another one of those, and he also played Grim Patron Warrior, did fantastic with that in day 1 as well. Again, picking up that victory versus Kranich. So there's no telling what he's going to play here. So far, it looks like it's just going to be power strategies.
Yeah, it looks like Muzzy's going to have to come in prepared to beat Rogue and Grim Patron. That's all he played in the first match. And here we go. Game 1, Dog versus Muzzy. Let's see what they're playing. Guys, get out there on Twitter. Use the hashtag HPL. Let us know who you think's going to win. And it looks like Dog is actually going to be playing Freeze Mage this game.
Yeah, we talked about power strategies. This is certainly one of the more powerful strategies that's out there right now. And that is a mind control tech in Muzzy's opening hand. So already we're seeing a little bit of flair here.
Yeah, seeing a little flair from Muzzy, and you know what? That card is not going to be very good in this matchup. It's just going to be a 3-3 for 3 in this here. It's not going to ever steal a minion out of Dog's deck.
Yeah, Mind Control Tech not extremely good versus Freeze Mages. I mean, we all know that they get tons of minions on board. So no surprise to see that he's tempo here once you see something like Mind Control Tech. I mean, I guess maybe this isn't necessarily tempo. We see Sorcerer's Apprentice. That's usually a pretty big indicator that it's something like tempo when you see more of the aggressive early game oriented minions. But that's not to say it's one way or the other. This could still kind of go either way, but an Unstable Portal is a great addition to that hand.
Yeah, Unstable Portal is a great addition. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how good his Mad Scientists are in this matchup, because they're not great. They're going to go get Mirror Entities, and they're going to copy things like Doomsayer, which aren't going to be the kind of minions you want to get from your Mirror Entities.
Yeah, this is one of the spots where I think Freeze Mage matches up so well when Mech Mage was very popular in this metagame, is that when somebody has Mirror Entities in their deck, they become a liability versus this deck. Anytime that your own card is effectively blowing up all of your own minions, that's obviously not the way that you want to be going with the match. So I'm really happy to see Dog just go ahead and coin out this Acolyte of Pain here, try to get some value off it, and move forward in the game.
Yeah, we're going to have to see what Muzzy gets off this Unstable Portico. We've seen some pretty good ones, and an Emperor Thaurissan is going to come into his hand for only 3 mana. That's going to be huge in this game.
That one is not a joke, my friends. That is real, and that is happening. So Dog just going to, not going to be phased by anything so far. He's, again, Freeze Mage is really looking to extend it into the later game and find more powerful options there. So, typically you'll see lots of card draw. You see stuff like Frost Nova. You couple that with Doomsayer. It's an excellent play. Pick up a bunch of minion kills. But as far as he's concerned, the damage isn't coming until he finds all the right cards, which takes some time.
Yeah, the fact that Muzzy gets to put an Emperor Thaurissan into play this soon, it's going to be really hard for Dog to answer this without a card like Fireball.
Dog's just laughing at what's happening here. Yeah, we talked about how it's going to take him some time to find these cards. He may not have the time with this kind of board developing.
Yeah, he doesn't have a clean answer to Emperor Thaurissan in his hand already.
Unless that's a mirror entity. So if that's a mirror entity from Muzzy, he could be in a little bit of trouble here. It is. So
what we mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
in the match,
very fortunate from Dog. Very heads-up play as well. Knows that he wants to take that risk versus something like Mad Scientist, and to him, he may feel a little bit alleviated to take that sort of risk since he also has Frost Nova and a second Doomsayer in his hand.
Now this Emperor Thaurissan is going to allow him to play an Azure Drake and a Mad Scientist in the same turn on turn 5. That is a lot of value off this Emperor Thaurissan already.
Yeah, the Mad Scientist, again, we talked about how it can be kind of a liability in this scenario, but Muzzy just saw a copy of Doomsayer, so it's a little less likely that Dog's going to have a second one of those in his hands. We can see that he does. But, Muzzy can't be thinking about that. He's got to just find ways to push for damage and make sure he's trying to end the game. Again, he has very little ways to actually interact with what Dog is doing other than, some burn spells or the Loatheb that's in his deck. So outside of that, just looking to apply pressure, get those, consistent damage turns in a row, and then try to finish the game off with those burn spells.
I got to say, I love Dog's deck choice here for game 1 against Muzzy. It just seems like a great deck choice versus what you perceive as a really aggressive player who's been known to play decks like Mech Mage and stuff like that in the past. And, you could probably assume that, Tempo Mage is within his range. Any deck that's got Mirror Entity, you've got to love your matchup when you have nothing but Doomsayers in your deck.
Yeah, not only that, but Freeze Mage just lines up very well against a lot of the way that typical early game aggression decks work. Your hero power will help handle 1-health minions. You've got Frost Novas to make sure that when they extend into the board too much that you can keep that under control. Doomsayer coupled with that is massive swings. Not only that, but it's also throwing off the way that your opponent chooses to play their curve out, so you'll see their mana utilization get thrown off. Lots of good stuff that's going for it.
Yeah, and you even see Dog has a copy of Big Game Hunter in his hand. That's something that's become a little popular in Freeze Mage lately, being able to deal with cards like Ragnaros and stuff.
So just going to be Frostbolt here. Doesn't want to let Dog draw a bunch of cards off that Acolyte of Pain. Understands the risk that can be coupled with that. And again, just applying pressure and making sure that he's getting damage. And that's the most important thing for him. I'm very surprised that he's choosing to trade this Mad Scientist here. What could be happening now is that he might actually have a copy of Counterspell in his deck and not necessarily another copy of Mirror Entity, but it is another copy of Mirror Entity. And he's going to get punished for it right here. This Pilot Shredder going to spawn another minion. I'm trying to think of some ones that would be absolutely great for him. Of course, Melhouse Mana Storm comes to mind in this scenario. But Dog, again, looking in fantastic shape. He's got a copy of Ice Barrier on his secret. He's got an Ice Block under that. Muzzy's just about out of pressure.
Yeah, this is exactly where you want to be from the Freeze Mage deck. He's playing his matchup perfectly. He's controlling the board as much as possible. He drew both Doomsayers early in the game, so that was fortunate for him. And he's in the position you want to be. He's late in the game. He's got his board developed. He's got his secrets developed, and he's not under a ton of pressure.
Yeah, that's a really big point there for Freeze Mage too. Typically, what they want to be doing is just making sure they're effectively using their mana along the way. You know, a curve in this style of deck is going to be a little bit strange, but the minion kills is really a big important part. If you live long enough, you eventually get the damage. That's not what you're concerned with. What you're concerned with is making sure you live long enough. So, you know, this armor to pad your life totals, it's something that you see among almost every single Freeze Mage is a relatively high armor total that's gained, and their games tend to go into the longer turns.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. If you can ever catch them where you get out to a great blistering start and they come out a little bit slow, sometimes you can get them low enough to where you don't actually have to attack them to kill them over the next couple turns, and you can make it to where you never actually trigger an ice block. It's pretty rare that game kind of happens, but sometimes you draw both your fireballs and you can get them down to 12 or 13 and finish them that way.
Yeah, just a matter of how the sequencing pans out. But Dog looking in fantastic shape right now. He's actually just going to play Archmage Antonidas, and I don't mind this one bit. At this stage of the game, he's got an Alexstrasza in his hand, and he's also got a Pyroblast, so he's picking up the Fireball from this Archmage straight away. At this point, he doesn't care if that's dead. As far as he's concerned, it's already done its job, because not only is it giving him that Fireball, but if Muzzy has to Fireball this Archmage Antonidas because it's such a large threat, that's more life that he's effectively gained.
Getting another pretty solid minion off Unstable Portal here, but Cobalt Guardian isn't going to do enough. He's going to have to Fireball this Archmage Antonidas, as we said. Now, I love this play from Dog, because not only does it set him up for later turns, but it draws the attention from his face for Muzzy. It's kind of like, you know, he prevents a bunch of damage to him, he gets something on the board, he gets to advance, and if Muzzy wants to push for damage there, then he gets to punish him by having the Antonidas around for another turn, and if he takes a turn off by attacking his Antonidas and using a spell on it, then you know, he essentially gained that 6 life from the Fireball not hitting him in the face.
Yeah, so Muzzy needed something really big there, something maybe like Keys and Mystic, or enough to try to pop this Ice Block this turn, but he doesn't have enough to pop it. In fact, he's actually going to have to take care of this Alexstrasza straight away, and outside of this, I do not see him winning this game. He's got about 1 draw to get the perfect card. This Pyroblast is going to just absolutely come crashing out of Dog's hand, basically about as fast as you could possibly imagine. I don't know, maybe he'll consider some other plays.
He's at 6.
6? Oh, he did draw 2 Frostbolts. That's a good point.
Yeah, he has 2 Frostbolts with an Ice.
Yeah, so that second Frostbolt
that is actually lethal.
Yeah, it ended up closing out the game here. So before he had 6, 9, 13, 14 if you couple it with Hero Power, but picking up the extra Frostbolt gives him enough damage to reach for it, and that's going to be a very easy game 1 for Dog. Had everything he needed at every step of the way. Yeah,
he drew the extra Frostbolt there on the last turn to kill him that turn. I was pretty sure he was going to win the game anyway. You know, he had a secret set up already. So there was no reason, I mean, there was no way that he was going to die, but you see a quick win from Dog here, and you know what? Dog is coming to HPL very prepared so far.
Yeah, has really kind of known what his opponents are going to throw at him. He did say that Shaman threw him off a little bit, but Shaman does not match up very well against the strategies that Dog chose to use in that one. And in this one, again, excellent choice with that Freeze Mage deck, knew exactly what kind of strategies that Muzzy was likely to come with, and absolutely punishes him with it.
Yeah, Muzzy, known for aggression, came and brought Tempo Mage and then wasn't able to break through the Freeze Mage deck brought from Dog. As we said, that matchup, if you know Muzzy's going to be aggressive, I just love Dog's choice. It was great. He executed his plan well and got the W.
Yeah, a couple other things are happening here too. When you play a deck that doesn't really focus on this early game damage like this and instead wants to have these big combo turns, this is really going to throw off the way that Muzzy has to build his decks kind of moving forward. He's going to be thinking to himself, do I want a Keys and Mystic? If I play Hunter, do I maybe include a copy of Flare? Do I play something that's just going to be very good against Freeze Mage? And this really opens up an opportunity for now Dog to shift gears, play a different strategy, and then try to punish something else that Muzzy's trying to play.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if Muzzy makes any cool adjustments to his decks, any kind of, trump cards to get Dog. We're going to see if Dog maybe throws him a curveball to where, if you make something like a Keys on Missing your deck, I'm going to play a deck without secrets and really punish you for playing that card. We're going to have to find out when we get back. Guys, you're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.